Coming up on this episode of FAS TV, beef farmer Willie Harper has some advice for his younger self.
Give myself a kick in the arse off a few things. Well, if you don't make mistakes through your journey, you've probably not been trying hard enough.
The distillery diversification that's changed one farming family's life, and one man's journey to get a foothold in the sheep game. The Farm Advisory Service is a government-funded organisation committed to providing grant funding and technical information to Scottish farmers. One farm that has seen the benefit of this grant funding is Forth Mains. Farmer Jenny McKerr took advantage of this funding during 2017 when she undertook an integrated land management plan for her business. Integrated land management plans provide a pathway to a sustainable, profitable future. An ILMP turned Jenny's vision for the farm into a clear, achievable, step-by-step action plan.
From Paisley originally, not from a farming family, and we moved to Climpy in about 2011 it would have been, and we started renting some fields to have some sheep. So it was more of a hobby. We both worked full time. I worked with Struthers, a beef processor. I was there for 13 years in various operational roles, from the abattoir right through to the cutting plant. And I loved my job in the Scotch beef industry, and it was always the dream to have a farm and produce our own Scotch beef one day. After a few years of renting the land, the farm just down the road from where we stayed came up for sale, and we're very lucky to get the opportunity to buy it. And the only barrier that we faced was obviously accessing the finance. So at that point we had to have a business plan and what we would potentially do with the farm. We were out our depth at that point and we needed a bit of support with that, so we contacted our SEC Lanark office and we worked on a ILMP plan to help us form a business plan and look at projections of what we could achieve with the farm. So it was great to have that support to look at what we could do and potentially what we could achieve. The ILMP, there's a lot of benefits with it. Now, one of the things that we did change was looking at the grazing and how we manage the land, because when we bought the farm, it was 45 acres of basically ranching. It was free range. So luckily my husband's a fencer and we looked at rotational grazing. So we set up the paddocks into 4-acre paddocks so that we can rotationally graze the sheep and the cows. So back to basics, we put a lot of time and effort into liming and fertiliser and getting the grass more productive and then grazing it properly as well. We've seen massive benefits from doing that. So the first thing was last year, 2020, we managed to finish lambs from the farm, whereas the previous 3 years before that we were just selling them store. So we're now into profit with our sheep enterprise as a result of the rotational grazing and better land management. So we worked our way through the plan. We looked at the beef and sheep because that's where our heart is, is producing the beef and the lamb side of things. And it was fine, and it was kind of projecting that year 5 we should be into profit with that once we start finishing our cattle, and that was great. But we had 4 long years to look at before that and how we actually sustain the farm. Basically said, your face always lights up when you speak about gin, and my next passion after the kind of beef and lamb is obviously the gin side of it. So, and it was true enough, and I'd always kind of jokingly thought, we'll put a distillery on the farm, and never really took it too serious until we looked at it as an option for diversification. And the more I looked into it, the more I thought, this secures an income out with the weather, the livestock and everything else that goes with the farm. So it was a great option to progress. The ILMP process was very straightforward. It was a straightforward application. And then we worked with an advisor to go through what we're currently doing in the farm and what the opportunities were. And it was very laid back. It was very, you could take it any direction you want. But I found it useful to have the support of an advisor in making some of the key decisions for the business.
Hazel Lochton from SAC was the consultant who carried out the ILMP at Forth Mains. She explains some of the benefits of the plan.
An ILMP gives the business an opportunity to look at their current performance and profitability and look at areas where they could improve. Also gives businesses a chance to look at other diversification opportunities or succession through the specialist advice plans, and look at any other different area. Allows access to specialists in many different fields. I think any business can benefit from an ILMP, whether it be a new entrant business like Jenny or whether it be a long established business. Obviously we're going through a period of change just now, and I think any business can benefit from a fresh set of eyes coming in and having a look at things that can be improved or things that can be changed for the future.
Since undertaking the ILMP, Jenny's business has gone from strength to strength, and she has many plans for the future.
So 4 years into the farm, we are learning every day, and we still enjoy what we're doing, and we really have got the livestock to a point that we're happy with. This is the first year we're going to finish our beef cattle, so we've got some Wagyu cross shorthorns that are ready to be finished, and we're just about to set up our own on-site butcher shop called Steak and Still, so it'll be next door to the distillery. So hopefully we can welcome visitors out to come and get their steak, get their gin and everything they need for a good weekend. Next steps as well, we've renovated a cottage on the farm. So as a bit of a byproduct from the distillery, what we've found is more people come out to the farm, and it's encouraging visitors to come out and get their gin and whatever they're needing for the weekend. And as a result, we renovated the cottage so that people can then come and stay. So there's more opportunities opening up all the time. Hopefully when the market does open up and people can go on holiday, people come and use the distiller's cottage just to escape, relax, have a bit of a gin retreat. We're hoping to add on farm experiences, so the likes of we're just starting lambing just now. It'd be nice if we could welcome people out to the farm to help with lambing or just have an on-farm experience as well. So there's loads of opportunities now that people want to come and visit the farm.
Jenny would encourage any farmer to undergo an ILMP in order to assess their business performance.
It's good to get a fresh set of eyes on the business. It opens opportunities into specialist support and other things that you can look at, so it's certainly worth spending the time on.
Most of us have wondered what advice we would give to our younger selves given the chance. Willie Harper farms at Grierson in Renfrewshire. We asked him how he built up his business and what, given the chance, he'd say to his younger self.
I was brought up in a dairy farm and was the eldest of three on the dairy farm, my younger brother and sister. My younger brother was always dead keen in the dairy, so after I left school I went to college, Oak Ridge, done agriculture. After that I went a wee working holiday to Australia, and when I came back from there wasn't enough work for us at home type of thing, all three of us, so it just coincided with the time Elderslie Estate, my landlord at the moment put Grierson farm up for let, and we put a tender in and were successful, and that was based on a partnership agreement. So they were really looking for somebody younger, and I was just the right age, vulnerable and impressionable at 25-year-old, so yeah, they gave it to me.
Willie has built his suckler herd to over 250 cows and finishes all his young stock, making good use of homegrown cereals. Over the years, he's paid attention to opportunities for improving efficiency, such as calving heifers at 2 years old and wintering cows outside where possible. There have been obstacles along the way, but Willie has found the means to make the most of what's available to him and build strong relationships.
Being a tenant farmer, lots of different leases, and none of them very secure for any length of time. Short-term lets for everything. I mean, I've had every type of land letting arrangement you can think of. So nothing was too secure, so I was always very wary about borrowing money. And well, when we've got nothing to borrow against really other than your livestock and a wee bit of machinery, it's hard, it's not easy to borrow money. I mean, I've been fortunate, my landlord's been fairly easy to go on with. And I've treated the land and the farms I've had from him like I owned them. and I think that's been recognised, and so we've had a fairly good relationship, and it's allowed me to keep farming and keep expanding. And if you look after one field, when you start out, then you're always going to get offered the second field, because how your attitude, and you've been easy to go on with, and you've paid the rent. That's the most important thing, is you pay the rent when they want it. Yeah, relationships make or break you. The relationships you make. So I'm quite fortunate, although I'm in the west coast of Scotland, we get a bit of rain. And I've got over 250 cows. They're not all inside lying in fancy straw or rubber mats or anything like that. We have varying wintering options for cows. So the bulk of the herd is here. We've also got 100 cows away wintering at a former dairy farm. And we also have a proportion of the cows are outside, wintered outside. So it's usually fit cows in the autumn that are selected for wintering outside, and they're fed out on barley stubbles, fairly free draining land as well, but that keeps the wintering cost down. Now we calve outside predominantly with the cows. We select them when they're getting ready to calve, and we open the door and we chase them out in groups into calving fields, and we let them naturally find their spot to calve and get on with themselves. And if I've done my work right, i.e. I've selected a proper easy calving bull, and I've fed the cow properly, she's not too thin, she's not too fat, she's just perfect, fit cow for calving. There's no reason why she shouldn't calve herself. I started with no cattle. I didn't inherit breeding cows or anything from my father or anything like that. I bred them all myself. There's currently just under 600 head of cattle on the farm, and I've bred almost every single one of them. We're only buying in breeding bulls, and I try and select them as carefully as possible, and to make sure that they're not going to be hard calvers. They're going to have plenty of growth, and and they're going to produce breeding females that are going to have milk. And that's the secret. And you build a cow families, a cow herd, and everything else, like the bull beef I was talking about before, all just falls into place. So that's probably the most, the proudest thing, I've got, because without them, you're not a farmer really. And it's the same with your crops and the fields. If you're an arable farmer, it's the same. You're proud of the land you've got and what the crops it can produce.
So, what advice would he give to his younger self looking back?
Give myself a kick in the arse or a few things. Well, if you don't make mistakes through your journey, you've probably not been trying hard enough. But yeah, probably one of the things I should have done, I'm still not done yet, because I'm still working away with the handling system I inherited when I come on the farm. I would have spent the money and built a better handling system, because it's infrastructure. It makes you, look after the animals. I wish I'd built a mini market 20 odd years ago, and weighing facilities, lairage facilities, things like that. I'm still dreaming about doing that yet. I started off coming out the young farmers and thinking the perfect beef animal was something that could hardly walk for muscle. It was the ones that were winning the winter fair in Smithfield and things like that, because that's the way you were trained. But at the end of the day, that's not always the most profitable animal on the farm. Being part of the beef and sheep groups who were involved in benchmarking were showing that it's actually our average animal is the one that's making the money. And when you're measuring, take in the losses as well as the ones that top the market or top the sales. You know, you'll no go far wrong.
For farmers and crofters, physical well-being is paramount, but it's also easy to ignore the signs when something is wrong. With just a little time every day, you can take steps to protect your body and health and ensure you can continue to work without hurting yourself.
Hi, my name is Alison Howie. I'm a physiotherapist and I've been working in the field of healthcare for about 20 years. I'm here today to give you a little bit of an insight into common injuries that happen in the farming profession. Unfortunately, farming has a higher rate of soft tissue injuries than other populations, so we're just going to run through some tips and advice that could help you reduce your injury risk and make you feel a little bit better through your working day. In terms of starting from the top, we've got our neck. Very common to get neck sprains and strains. There's lots of ligaments that run up the side of the neck and the muscles. So to keep it moving, we want to make sure we get into good posture first of all. Head forward like this weighs a ton. Stand up nice and tall, lift your head up to the ceiling or up into the sky. Rotate the head left and right, keeping the upper body nice and still. Bringing the chin round and stretching the neck. Side bend the ear to the shoulder, keeping this side down so you're feeling a lovely stretch down the side from the ear to the tip of your shoulder, and then do the opposite side. Always do both sides because it will pick up that imbalance, and imbalance is one of the main things we want to prevent. Make sure, as I say, you're up nice and tall. Then I want you to just roll those shoulders. Doing a shoulder roll basically gets about 20 different joints moving all at once. So it's a really nice way to reduce impact. Give a little bit of a stretch, and it's called a dynamic stretch because you're moving, and then just open up the shoulder girdle. Open it up 2 or 3 times, and that's going to give all of those muscles and soft tissues around the neck area a little bit of a rest. Don't sit in the car or the tractor like this. That's going to cause you problems. Try and come back to that central position. Shoulders. Okay, doing lots of lifting, moving, catching. So you want to keep your shoulders again open. That squeeze that we did there, you can bring in a little bit more of a stretch by bringing the arms back, or you could do one and then other side. Another way to do it is arm up at a nice 90-degree angle and then pushing the arm back. Or you can lean against the wall and push your body round. Your pec muscle is the biggest and strongest muscle you have, so if it's tight, working together, lifting machinery, driving a lot, this gets tight. So those stretches are really important to get that balance back into your body. Coming down, you've then got your lower back. Again, the most common area I mentioned. All of us at some point will get back pain, but we don't want it recurring. Your back is a very strong structure, so movement is good. It is very robust. So what we need to be able to do is extend our spine, pushing the hips forward, reaching back, arms on the waist, and do that 3 or 4 times, particularly if you've been working in a flex position. So you'll notice the pattern, it's about balance. If you've been doing a lot at the front, try and go back to counteract what you've been working in. Another way to do it, arms at the wall, push the hips forward. You could be against the gate and you're just getting a nice bit of lumbar extension. It's a really good way to stretch the back. The other thing you can do is bring in a little bit of a side stretch to both sides, so you're working the muscle that holds your pelvis in position. Coming down from there, you've got your hips. As I said, arthritis in the hips is quite common in farmers. Again, you're doing a lot of compression activities, so stretching the front of the thighs is really helpful. Bring the arm back, knee up, and then push the heel into the back of the buttock. Let the leg come behind you and you'll feel a really strong stretch down the front of your leg or the quad muscle. Hold that for a good 15 to 30 seconds and again repeat on the other side. If you've been sitting all day on a quad bike or a tractor, your hip flexors will be tight and that will also affect your back. So it's a good stretch for both the spine and the hips. Hold again and then come down. Knees wise, hamstrings. Also helps the back. Behind the leg, you'll feel a nice tightness. The further you lift your toes, oh, the tighter that is. So try and hold that for a good 30 seconds. Making it harder, bend from the waist. You'll really feel that down the back of your leg. Come back up, and again, always repeat to the other side. We all have a dominant side, so we'll all be slightly tighter on the other. Getting that balance is really important. Coming back up, you've then got your ankles. Ankle injuries are really common. Generally, most of all just ignore it. But if you keep going over on your ankle, then that can cause a weakness and instability. So stretching the calves, pushing against the wall, back of the leg nice and straight, heel into the ground, hold the stretch. Do again on the other side and hold and stretch. Flexibility in your ankles and feet will reduce your risk of injury, particularly if you're on uneven ground and you're writing reactions. The last thing and bit of advice is really just watching your balance. If you can practice brushing your teeth in the morning, or if you're in for that cup of tea about 11 o'clock, try balancing on one leg. Keep those muscles really working quite hard. And that's going to, again, just going to pick up these imbalances if one side's really not working well, and then you can start to work on it. Look after your body, and then it'll look after you. So, thanks for listening today. Just to give you that little bit of a nudge to seek advice if you need to. Remember, you are your business. If you aren't functioning, then your business can't function. Try the stretches that we've shown you. Within a few weeks, I think you'll notice a really big difference. You'll feel better, you'll feel happier, and your business will benefit.
There are many challenges that face new entrant farmers, including gaining access to land and finance. In Ayrshire, Cameron Wilson has overcome these challenges and has been building up his farming business, all while documenting his experiences online.
My name's Cameron Wilson. I'm a new entrant to farming, coming up on be entering my 5th year as a sheep farmer this year. I started off 4 years ago with 4 Texel gimmers that I bought in a sale ring just to put in my mother's garden, which is right here behind us. As you can see, it's about half an acre. I got those 4, and other opportunities then presented themselves, and very quickly it's built up to where I am now, where I'm running, this year I'll be lambing roughly 600 ewes, and I'm running on 300 ewe hogs to gimmer as well. I was born and bred on a sheep farm. My father was a shepherd, actually on this farm we're on here today, but he always, for me, wanted me to go and do something else, which is why I ended up going and joining the police, and I've done that now for 12 years. And I had minimal involvement in sheep. My days off, I would still come and work with the sheep with my father and keep my hand in, because it's what I love to do. But then in 2015, so that'd be 5-6 years ago, my father just suddenly got like a 2 months notice. You've got 2 months to go, bang, you're dead. That was it. And I was like, I'm not going to get to work with sheep anymore. And it was kind of like almost like a grief thing. I thought, right, what am I going to do to fill this massive hole? So I went and bought these 4 gimmers, and genuinely started as just a wee thing. It was going to be a wee hobby, to now it's my main job. I've been very lucky. I've had a lot of good people helping me out, from your very selves at the Agricultural College. Robert Ramsey was a big help to me when I first started. He pulled together an application for the Young Farmer Startup Grant, which at that time that was €70,000 and worked out at around £50,000, which I was very lucky to be successful for. And of course, a cash injection like that to a new entrant was absolutely massive. All of a sudden I had my own stock trailer, my own set of wrap-up pens, and I was able to buy more sheep to increase my numbers faster. So that was definitely a big help. The mentoring scheme from the Farm Advisory Service is a thing I try and speak to people about a lot, because I just know it's not been used enough. It's a fantastic service where if you don't have a mentor, they'll put you in touch with someone working a similar system to yourself. You can say to them, listen, if they sign up for a mentor, they can actually be compensated for their time, And then they're on that scheme for other potential new entrants that might want to dip in and use their experience. So it's a fantastic service that I would say everyone should be looking into, and it's one that I've benefited from greatly. I'm always trying to be very positive about getting started in farming and sheep farming, but realistically, if you think you can just buy a few sheep and then that becomes your job and that's going to support you, then you're dreaming a little bit, because as my accountant always tells me, Cameron, looking at this paper here, you're just a busy fool. And it's a fair point, but I have a goal in mind, and like the sheep I'm running just now, although this year's probably going to be different because I've been building numbers so rapidly, they've never made me any money, they've just cost me a lot of money. But as I'm standing now, I'm sitting with 900 odd head of stock, bought and paid for, which is a massive asset to have, especially this year at the price of sheep. But to get to this, you're going to need additional incomes. So I've mentioned already, I'm a police officer, I'm also a sheep shearer, and just over the last year or so I've built up my own run now to where we'll probably be shearing 30,000 sheep. I'm also a sheep pregnancy scanner, and this year I've scanned over 40,000 sheep, which is another big chunk of income. I also have a YouTube channel called The Sheep Game. I used to do a lot on Snapchat, just having jokes and being about the sheep, and someone suggested it to me one day, why don't you try a YouTube channel? And I looked at some other people that were doing similar things, a young lad, Tom Pemberton, down south, who's absolutely fantastic at it. And I saw how running a YouTube channel was actually starting to change his farm through the additional income it was generating, and that he was able to start buying better machinery, better equipment, all through this additional source of income. And really nowadays, social media and YouTube, it's a form of farm diversification. If I was to start again, there's many things I would do differently. Overpaying for ground is definitely one of the biggest mistakes I made. Buying the wrong breeds of sheep for the system I'm trying to operate is another one. But it's all brought me to where I am today. What a great story to go from being a shepherd's son to a sheep farmer, or a farmer in my own right. And where that being, buying a farm, which realistically for me, I'm 30 just now, I have it in the back of my mind that I would like to be in a position by the time I'm 40 that I could buy a farm. One of the biggest questions I get, or the most common question I get, is how can I get into farming? And really things like what you guys are doing with this farm advisory service, making these videos for people to see, watch channels like mine to see what other people are doing, look for informative things like this. The mentor scheme, like I just know there's not enough people using this mentor scheme. It's a fantastic service that they need to use.
If you're interested in applying for the FAS mentoring programme, applications are open now. Information can be found in the show notes.
It's the middle of April and I'm in Ayrshire, and the weather here, just as it has been across the rest of Scotland, has been changeable. We had blistering sunshine on Saturday, we're all in our shorts, and then back to thermals on Sunday. And this change in weather can take its toll on livestock, both in lambs that are outside that are struggling to get enough milk or shelter to keep them warm, or in housed animals as well. So in the last few days we've been seeing cases of acute pneumonia in housed cattle up in Aberdeenshire. So across our surveillance hubs we've been seeing the typical spring conditions that we see at this time of year, often related to insufficient treatment of navels, so resulting in navel ill or joint ill. And we've also been seeing cases of sudden deaths due to septicemia or meningitis if calves or lambs haven't had enough colostrum intake. So ensuring that calves and lambs are getting plenty of colostrum will help to protect them against these diseases. In recent days we've also been seeing cases of clostridial disease in lambs. This condition can cause sudden death, whether that's due to the likes of lamb dysentery causing an acute scour, or pulpy kidney that often causes sudden death in lambs that are really well grown. These conditions can arise if lambs' mothers haven't been vaccinated, or if the dams have been vaccinated but the lambs haven't had enough colostrum, they're susceptible, or indeed if they've been given artificial colostrum instead of their own mother's colostrum, they can remain at risk. The length of time that these colostral antibodies varies, and so it's best to speak to your vet about when the best time to vaccinate your lambs is, so that you can ensure that protection is ongoing. Last time I said that we're really interested to hear of suspect cases of Schmallenberg virus. So we've had lots of aborted lambs and calves that we've been examining, some of them that have had malformations, but we've not confirmed any Schmallenberg virus in Scotland. That's enough for this time. I hope that the weather improves for May and the grass begins to grow, and we'll see you next time.
Hello, I'm Raymond and welcome to the Rural Roundup. This week in farming, the Scottish Government have started paying out the Scottish Suckler Beef Support Scheme calf payments. It's been a welcome boost to farmers' coffers at this time of year, and mainland calves have been paid at a rate of £100.73 per calf, whilst those in the islands have been paid at £143 approximately per calf. The SACGS grant scheme application deadline has been extended to the 30th of September. This is due to the Scottish Government understanding the supply issues with the trade. If you have not yet received delivery of any of these items, then you do not need to put in your claim form until you have received and paid for these items. If you've already received one item on farm and you wish to claim it, then you must still accompany the application form with a delivery note and claim the item that you have still to receive. Please contact ARPID or your agent for more information. We are now in the closed period for muir burn, which must not be carried out between the 16th of April and the 30th of September, unless you have a licence for out-of-season burning. Also, look out for the opportunity to opt in to the Suckler Beef Climate Scheme. This will most likely happen after the election, and it is a bid to reduce our country's carbon emissions by 75% by the year 2030. We are now in the closed period for hedge trimming, which runs from the 1st of March to the 31st of August. During this time, you must not lope or trim any branches off of trees, except in the incidence of road safety. We've had a recent cold spell which has halted grass growth in many regions, so I wish you all the best of luck for those calving, lambing and trying to carry out spring work. Please stay tuned for more from the Farm Advisory Service and FAS TV. Thank you.
Next time on FAS TV, we explore the benefits of grazing winter cereals, we meet another new farm entrant, experienced farmer Andrew Tully gives advice to his younger self,
you're far more productive if you have time to switch off.
and we take a close look at the goings-on at Bauhaus in Fife.